welcome to Productivity for Solopreneurs, where each Wednesday at 1 p.m. Central Time, I share insights to getting things done. So today is live number 128, and we are going to be talking about why you should create your new habit in phases. So let me know you are here by liking the video or saying hi in the comments. And for those of you who do not know me, my name is Evie Burke, and I help women entrepreneurs take their productivity and their profits to the next level. They're ready to decrease distraction in their business and really build a business that they are excited about and excuse me, is the business that they envisioned having in a way that works for them. So they are wanting to be present in everything that they do, whether that is their business life, their personal life, or however that combination works out for them. I help them focus on creating impactful solutions that focus on getting their high priority areas completed so they can grow their business with confidence. So, like I said, today's topic is why you should create your new habit in phases. And this is part of having a productive business, right? Is figuring out what habits you want to create and build in your business, right? Creating those habits that really support you. So I see a lot of times when people are creating a new habit that they just, jump right into it. They are all in, right? And they just start it right away. And then after a few days, it isn't getting any easier. Sometimes it feels like it's getting harder, and so they abandon the goal. Sometimes it's because it was hard. Sometimes, life gets in the way and it was hard. And I want you to think of it this way. So if you wanted to start lifting weights and you decided that the place to start was curling a 50-pound weight, you would probably fail, right? So you need to build your muscles to do that and potentially talk to an expert to find out if curling a 50-pound weight is a reasonable goal for you. And the point here is, though, you're not going to start with curling the 50-pound weight the first day that you lift weights, right? You are going to start with a smaller weight that you can probably do, 15 to 20 curls on or with, where it might be difficult, but you can complete it, right? And you can do that for 3 sets. And the issue is, this is how, though, the starting with the 50-pound weight, that's how a lot of us approach creating a new habit, is we're like, oh, I'm going to start it right away, and if I keep doing it, then the practice is going to stick, right? Because repetition is the way that you create habits. Absolutely. But we get frustrated because it can be hard for us to keep those habits up. So let's look at one that I see a lot, and in a lot of like top 5 or top 10 things to do to be more productive and get more done in the day, I'll see, getting up at like 5 or 6 a.m. And I want to preface this by saying I do not believe that. I believe that the people who have a lot of success by getting up at 5 or 6 a.m. or whatever time it is, they have figured out what works for them, and that's why it works. It might not work for you, depending on your day and your schedule and all of that. But let's assume that the habit, because it's a good example, let's assume that the habit you want to create is getting up at 6 a.m. every day. Okay, so how would you normally approach that? Normally, you would say, okay, I'm going to set the alarm for 6 a.m. and I'm going to get up. And you might say, I'm going to try to go to bed around 10 o'clock and then get up at 6 a.m. And then what happens? Go to bed at 10 or whatever time it is. And, if you go to bed early, then you're not used to maybe going to bed at that time. So you toss and turn for a while. And then you finally fall asleep. And then your alarm goes off at 6. And you're like, oh my goodness, it's so early in the morning. And you get up and you start your day, right? And a couple of days in, it might feel like there is not enough coffee in the world that you could drink that would keep you focused and engaged in what you're doing all day, right? So, one of the rules for creating a new habit is make the habit easy to do. So, how might you make getting up at 6 a.m. every day easier for you? Well, like we just talked about, making sure you're going to bed at 10 p.m. every night so that you're getting a solid 8 hours of sleep. And, then theoretically getting up at 6 will be easier. But you might have tried going to bed at 10 and you just toss and turn, so that didn't really work. So then what? Well, how can you make going to bed at 10 p.m. easier? Okay. And that might be starting your bedtime routine at 9:30. So you're kind of in the habit you're creating that habit of being ready for bed at 10 o'clock. And, you do that, but you're still having that problem of you're not really falling asleep at 10 p.m., right? You're still up until 11 or midnight tossing and turning and then getting up at 6. So what do you do? Well, in James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, he talks about habit shaping. And part of that process is creating a new habit in phases. So we've kind of talked about that a little bit, but we didn't go far enough. So again, if the habit is getting up at 6 a.m., you could start with just getting ready for bed at 9:30. Like nothing else, you're just getting to bed, or you're getting ready for bed at 9:30. You're not going to bed at 10 o'clock. You're just starting the getting ready for bed at 9:30. Okay? And then you master that, and then you move on to the next step. And it might take you a week, it might take you a month to master that step before you move on to the next one. So that is phase 1, right? Getting ready for bed at 9:30. Phase 2 might be get in bed at 10 p.m. and read, chat with your partner, or maybe play on your phone. And, again, there's not any set time you're supposed to be laying down and going to sleep. You're just getting into bed at 10 p.m. All right. Phase 3 might be getting into bed at 10 p.m. and putting the phone away. So now you're just reading your book or chatting with your partner. And then you might do that for a week or a month until that is an easy habit for you to do. And I'm just going to check here to see if somebody is trying to tell me something. Nope. All right. So phase 4 then is to get in bed at 10 p.m. and actually try to go to sleep. And then you do that until it is a habit that you have formed and it's easy to do, right? So you might be doing this for, 3 months, 4 months, whatever, before you were actually trying to get up at 6 a.m. Because that's phase 5 then, is setting your alarm for 6 a.m. and getting up. And what's probably been happening as you're getting ready, as you're getting used to going to bed at 10 p.m., is you've probably been slowly getting up earlier and earlier and earlier. And I hear from some people when they talk about how they're going to bed earlier, they're like, I'm a week in and I'm still sleeping until 8 o'clock. Well, there's a couple of things going on there, potentially. One is that your body, its clock still says, oh, I get up at 8 o'clock or whatever time that is for you, right? And then the second thing is you might not have been getting enough sleep or enough quality sleep. So your body is using that opportunity to get more sleep. So, maybe you're in bed for 9 or 10 hours for a month or something before you start. Your body's like, oh, okay, we really are going to bed at 10 o'clock every night. I can start getting up earlier, right? So there's those two things. One, your body has to adjust its schedule, and 2, you might be catching up on a little bit of sleep debt. So don't assume after, going to bed at 10 p.m. for a week or 2 or even a month, if you're not starting to get up any earlier naturally, don't assume it's not working. It just means your body is still readjusting to this new schedule. And you just need to give it some more time. All right? So you'll notice in there that I added a couple of steps between getting ready for bed and going to bed, right? There's some extra phases in there. And it goes back to asking yourself, what can make this a little easier for me? So, going to bed, getting up at 6 a.m., going to bed at 10 p.m., that doesn't always come super easy. So it's about backtracking and saying, okay, how can I kind of ease myself into this? What are the phases that I can do to make that easier? So, what habits have you tried to create in the past that you have really wanted to create that you weren't able to create that you might be able to apply this method to? Um, what are the habits that are still kind of in your head that you've been thinking about and you're going, I really want to try that again, but maybe you haven't done it because it didn't go well the first time. So using this approach, you can kind of tweak how you're approaching creating that habit and look at what are the phases you could implement to create that habit, to make creating that habit easier for yourself. All right. So I would love to know if you would be bold enough to share what habit might you create um, using this system of phases. And also the other thing I will share is if getting up earlier is one of your goals, you don't have to use this set of phases that I gave. So in the book Atomic Habits, he uses getting up at 6 a.m. as one of his examples, and he has some phases in there that I they didn't speak to me. They might work really well for some people, but if I were creating a get up at 6 a.m. habit, those are the phases that I would use. They might not be the phases you would use. So, if you are wanting to create a 6 a.m. habit, create what works for you, right? So, again, though, I would love to know what habit you are looking at creating and how you might create it in phases. I would love to know that. So, I see Kim joined a while ago, and I don't think I said hello to you. So, hello, Kim. Good to see you. Or, no, you're there anyway. And that is all I have for you for today. So, if this is something that you would like to implement, but maybe you're not quite sure how to do it for your habit, give me a call. I would love to help you with that. The easiest way to do that is to go over to my website, oneinsightcloser.com, and fill out the contact me page or form and let me know what you're looking for, and we can set up a time to chat. All right? So until next time, so next week, until next week, much love. Bye, everybody.